into another live edition of the Patriots Beat Podcast here on the CLNS Media Network. Brian Hines from Pat's Pulpit here with Alex Barth from 98.5 The Sports Hub to break down an unfortunate Week 1 loss for the New England Patriots with Tom Brady in the house, but the Patriots dropped their season opener 25-20 to the reigning NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. And Alex, it was kind of a coincidence that Brady was in the building because it felt like a similar script here from what we've seen a lot in the post Brady era, where they come out kind of slow, they dig themselves this really deep hole, and then they, start to pick it up, but that early hole is just too insurmountable. And then they have a few mistakes down the stretch, and they just can't land that final knockout punch to complete the comeback. And that was another case here on Sunday, going down 16-0 early, and then just not having that one or two plays they needed down the stretch to finish that thing off.
Yeah, Brian, you can call me a fence sitter if you want. I'm sure some people will say this is kind of a bad take, but I think that all that game did was confirm the priors, whatever your priors were, because there was everything we talked about positively and negatively existed in that game. Like you said, it's it's both who they've been and a sign of who they can be, which is what we've said about this team for the last few years. I think that, schematically it looked very different, especially on the offensive side of the ball. They did a lot of different things on offense, a lot of fun things on offense. The defense looked good. I thought they handled Jalen Hurts well, but in the end, they made too many stupid decisions, too many stupid, costly, untimely penalties, and that's why they lost. And it goes back to 2020 when they were doing this. Oh, it's uncharacteristic. They'll figure it out. And it's kind of become their identity. They're kind of a dumb football team.
Yeah.
In the sense that, like, the penalties and stuff kills them like that. So, look, at the same time, these are mistakes teams make early in the season. Lining up offsides, things like that. The problem last year wasn't that they made the mistakes week one, or even in 2021. The problem wasn't they made those mistakes in week one. It's that they were still making them in December. So here we go again. New coaching staff, new roster, new year. If you want to sit here and say, you know what, it's all fixable. Look, they, down two guards, down their number one receiver. They kind of moved the ball on the top defense in the league at points, and defensively they played well. And if they just clean up the mistakes, they'll be a good team. Because I look at that. I look at what they did yesterday, just in a bubble, and that's like, hey, this is a team that has some problems, but most of them are fixable. This is a team that once they get into it, give them like a month under their belt playing together, and they'll be pretty good. But do they get the benefit of the doubt? Because I sat here and said the same thing last year, and I sat here and said the same thing the year before that. I'm sitting next to Mike Cadlick in the press box, assigned seats, after Jabril Peppers forces the fumble. He goes, "Do you think you're going to win it?" And I said, "I think they can win it. I don't think they will, because I've seen them play this game time and time and time again the last 3 years, and they don't win this game. I'll believe they can win it when they do, and they should be able to win it. It's just weird because you have every right to be encouraged. I know I sound pissed. I'm encouraged, but I'm. It's almost like I'm pissed that I'm encouraged because I'm taking the bait again, because I'm looking at that and saying they did a bunch of good things. I know I'm in the minority on this. I thought for the most part, Mac looked good. He made some costly mistakes, but from where he was last year, I thought he looked good. But are we going to be sitting here in December and saying, man, if they could just cut down the penalties, and if it wasn't for that one turnover, and if they could score in the red zone, if they could make a stop late, because we've been saying that, Brian, for 3 years. This game didn't prove or disprove anything in terms of what the 2023 Patriots are. It was just a reminder of what the 2022 Patriots were. And in that sense, it's frustrating.
It was an interesting point how you said, like, in the past years, they were making these mistakes late in the season, right? Because I think a lot of the games people were comparing yesterday to was like that Cincy game last year, which was in December, the Vegas game even last year, which was in December. Then even going back to Mac's like rookie year, that game against Indy, which Indy got out to a big lead, and then Mac kind of got hot, but it was just too much, and that was like after the bye late in that season too. So it is who they've been, but There were some encouraging things offensively. If we want to transition over there, I thought the Bill O'Brien system, that kind of first look at that was encouraging. We saw a lot of stuff that we expected from him, a little tempo, the spread elements, and then the formations he was using was excuse me, the big one. A lot of those bunch and stack sets got a lot of wide receivers open. I think there was actually a graphic, it might have been PFF, that the Patriots offense had like the most open receivers or the least amount of like covered receivers in week one out of any team. So some good signs from that Bill O'Brien system. And then you mentioned Mac, who it was 300 yards for I think like the fifth time in his career,
Yeah.
and three touchdowns for like the fourth time in his career. So the stats look good, but it wasn't. I thought he was better under pressure, which we can also get into the offensive line a
Yeah.
bit, which was a big thing after last year. But still some issues. He can't extend plays. Like he's not good out of structure, which we kind of knew, and then still looked like some placement issues, which might have cost him some yards here and there. But that was kind of the big things I thought Bill O'Brien and Mac there from week one.
Yeah, so I thought on the offense as a whole, that's what I was screaming for it to be last year. Multiple personnel sets, multiple formations. There was very little repetition in the offense, which last year, that's all it was repetition.
Yep.
And they adjusted in game. They were struggling to run the ball, which isn't necessarily a surprise given their offensive line situation, who they were up against. So what did they do? They kind of abandoned the run. 54 pass attempts, a career high for Mac, plus you add 2 more scrambles, plus you add 2 sacks. They basically threw the ball 60 times in a game that they were behind, but it's not like they were down 28-0 from the jump, right? They erased that 16-0 lead relatively quickly. The whole second half was one-score game pretty much. So I liked what I saw from O'Brien. As for Mac, I thought he was great at moments, and I thought he struggled at moments. I thought those 2 drives at the end of the first half were excellent.
Yep.
Mechanically, maybe he was a little off, but you know what? The ball was still getting there, and if it's a results-based business, but at the same time, started cold, finished cold, and you can't be doing that. It's something that can get better, but it's been something we've been saying can get better for 3 years. And kind of the thesis point on this season for me is it time's up for Mac Jones. Like, you got to go earn that contract. There's no more improving. You're here. I think, when it comes to Mac in this game, there's a stat, people, Brady would have won that game, which first off is a stupid ass take. Congratulations. You've proved Tom Brady's better than Mac Jones. Hot take artist. Pat yourself on the back. The Patriots never lost. Bill Belichick never lost when Tom Brady threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I'm not saying like Mac played as well as Brady, but Bill Belichick had never lost getting this kind of production from the quarterback spot. And how many of those games did he punt on 4th and 17 in a 1-score game? And how many of those games did he not take the points from the 17-yard line in an 8-point game? And how many of those games could I guess Brady had to deal with some bad receivers. So I won't, but not getting the feet down, dropping passes. I thought Mac's best throw of the day was drop. That one over the middle to Juju Smith-Schuster, right? That was late in the game on it was, what is it, 3rd down, 4th down. You know what I'm talking about? It was like a sliding catch. And it hit him between the numbers. It just bounced off his chest. Bourne.
Yeah,
You're right.
Looked like Slay might have got a little hit on his arm there, or KB. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
But that's not to make excuses for him. Like he took a bad sack on a 4th down on one of the earlier drives where he had Kendrick Bourne wide open. He tried to extend the play, couldn't do it. So what do you want to see? Do you want to see Mac Jones making strides from last year? Because you can absolutely see that. Do you still want to see him not doing enough? Like that whole stat about the game-winning drives? Do you still want to see him unable to finish a drive? Because you saw that. Whatever you wanted to see was there. It's encouraging, but it's been encouraging for 3 years, and we're still waiting on that payoff. So, look, I liked what I saw from Mac Jones. I'll say this, and I said this week 1 last year, and then things obviously changed, so knock on wood. If Mac Jones' performance was their biggest issue in that game, they win that game. They probably win it by multiple scores. That stat line you see at the bottom, if that's the biggest problem they have in that game, Brian, I feel free to disagree with me, but if we come away from that saying basically if what Mac Jones said was true, everybody played great but me, and this is how he played, I think they win that game. So Mac can absolutely be better, and he's probably going to need to be better, but I'm not going to sit here and say that was on him at all. I thought it was more on some of the coaching decisions that put him in bad spots. And then when he was put on in bad spots, he made bad spots worse, which was kind of what last year's team was. So again, it's that thing. This game might as well have been played, whatever it is, January, whatever the week after the regular season, at January 21st, 2022. Schematically, it looked different. And that is the one thing I will say is different and encouraging. Everything else felt textbook 2022 Patriots.
Yep. I'd agree with you. So do you want to talk about those coaching decisions here while you mention it quick? Because there were two of them, and it was...
So there were three. There's a third one that's not getting talked about, but we can get to the first two, and then I want to add a third one.
So the first one, as you see on the bottom of the screen, Patriots elected not to kick a field goal, down 8 with 9:32. It was 4th and 3 from the Philly 17, so it would have been, fairly, 35, 40-yard field goal. Would have been in range there, pretty easy field goal. Then the other one was with just over, I think it was 2:17 left in the fourth. It was 4th and 17 after that delay a game on 4th and 12, and that was just right over midfield. They went for both of them. They didn't get either of them, and they walked away with no points. So how are you kind of feeling about those decisions? And what was that third one that you had that no one was talking about?
So the 4th and 3, I would have kicked it, but I do think there's a fair argument for going for it. At the same time, I always say on any of these type of decisions, the decision to go for it's only as good as the player going to call.
Yep.
If that makes sense, right? Even if you think you should go for it, if you don't have a play you believe can pick up the yards, what's the point, right? So I look at that 4th and 3. I didn't mind going for it. What bothered me there was on 3rd and 3, they're averaging like 3 yards a carry outside of Mac Jones scrambles against that Eagles front. And you go up the gut on 3rd and 3 with Ezekiel Elliott, went for no yards. They pretty much had given up to the run on that point and then brought it back right there. So that's more O'Brien than Belichick. Didn't love that. 4th and 17, that's all on Belichick. First off, don't take the delay game. Call a timeout. You're driving. I believe they were driving to take the lead at that point, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, that was after the
that was 25-20, right? So you're driving to take the lead. You don't need those timeouts. You shouldn't be planning on giving the ball back, even if it is 4th and 12. And that's, by the way, after the Kendrick Bourne drop, so some missed execution there. That one, 4th and 12 is borderline. Once you're going to take the delay game, which, again, you never should have done. Once you're going to take the delay game, you have to punt that ball. What's the difference at that point?
Yeah.
Behringer's punting well. Congratulations, by the way, Brian. I thought he was very good in this game.
Thank you.
Pin the ball, or pin him back, and you probably get better field position going back the other way. You're going to burn your timeouts anyway. The one that really bothered me, though, was actually the one in the final minute when they get the ball back after they stop the Eagles on 4th down. And it's 3rd and 13. It just over midfield. I forget exactly where it was, but just over midfield. 3rd and 13.
They threw like a screen.
They called a screen pass to Ramondre Stevenson. That wasn't 2022 pulling your hair out. That was 2021 pulling your hair out. That was Josh McDaniels. A play that worked once and like the 6 times they ran it all night. And then 4th and 11, there's the out route to Kendrick Bourne to Kayshon Boutte. Boutte doesn't get the foot down. Max probably a beat late with the throw as well. If you go back and watch it, he double pumps there, but I mean, Boutte should still get the foot down. But also run that play on 3rd down. Run that play on 3rd, not 4th, because the reason I think Boutte didn't drag the foot is he was too focused on the sticks.
Yeah.
He was too focused on getting the first down. So if you run that play on 3rd down, he's a yard short. All right, and you QB sneak it or whatever. You do something on 4th down. Like, I don't know why you run that screen on 3rd down. Yeah. That, to me, and how often it's been a little bit, but remember we used to always, screen. It was a little bit of that. So it was a smorgasbord of everything that's frustrated us the last few years. It really was, but in terms of the decision, some of this is on Bill, some of this is on O'Brien. There's execution things in here too. You have a Kendrick Bourne drop on 3rd down on a great throw for Mac Jones in this sequence. You have Mac Jones double clutching on the 4th down throw to Kayshon Boutte. You have him taking a bad sack on a 4th down in this sequence. It all just kind of fell apart. Everybody, coaching, players, everybody, it kind of fell apart there at the end. But it was one of those things where, like, I've seen this before. They had 3 chances to win that game and they couldn't do it, and it wasn't new. So that's what made that all frustrating.
Yep. Bill said this morning, he said
Yeah,
the
that's right.
fourth,
Bill admitted he was wrong,
the fourth and
which you
17.
never hear. He said
Yeah.
he should have punted on the 4th and 17.
Yeah. That's the one he said he should have punted. I think on the 4th and 3. I don't know if he said it last night or this morning. I think it was last night. He's like, you would have second guessed it either way. I don't really like, I'll never um, be mad at them for being like too aggressive, especially on like a 4th and 3, right? We've been saying for
Right.
years, and Bill's pretty conservative usually, so we've been saying for years, let's get more aggressive, let's go for it more. So I won't blame them so much there, but as you mentioned, like let's dial up a better play call than what they went with, and then yeah, that's a good point too on that final drive, that screen on third down. That was I just didn't like that call, and it led to that booty play there at the end, which I don't know. I don't want to get at Booty too much there because he never really played outside at LSU, but there were two instances on that sideline. He had that other one in the first half, I believe, where it was kind of
Yeah.
down the left sideline, and then that same thing to the end the game there. But
And Mac double clutches the ball there too. That doesn't help. If he gets
yeah,
it a beat earlier, he has a little more time to keep the feet in. So it was all around, just wasn't
yep.
the execution wasn't good enough.
So do they win that game with Devontae Parker in that
They
spot?
might, they might, they really might.
Yep.
Honestly, Tyquan Thornton, they might. He's
Yeah.
taller. He's taller. He's going to have more leverage in that ability to get his. Now I know that he gets open, I guess, but yeah, they were. You saw the injuries pile up in this game.
Yep. That might be blame the roster construction more than Booty there, but
It's Booty, it's Mac, it's the roster construction, it's the play call. It's just all. It was all
it's everything.
bad. It was all bad.
Yep. All right, but let's transition to let me just pull it up, the offensive line. Because that was the big question mark going in, and it got worse about an hour before the game with Cole Strange and Mike Onwenu both inactive, so they had to start rookies City So and Antonio Mafi there at the left and right guard spots. I don't know. It was about what you expected, maybe. I thought it was probably a little better than expected. I think Mac was only sacked like twice, but I think Philly had a 31% pressure rate. I know some of the individual pressure numbers weren't great for the rookies and Calvin Anderson, but you're talking about two rookies and a guy who didn't play all of training camp against the best defensive line in football. The run blocking was also kind of a mess, but I don't know. What were your kind of takeaways there from watching the offensive line?
I thought they were down for 2 sacks, but I mean, either way, it was an impressive performance. Yeah, 2 sacks, but in the passing game, it was impressive. In the passing game, they held their own, and you even had some deeper developing patterns, and they were able to hold up. I've got to give Mac Jones some credit here as well. There was one thing I thought he did consistently, even kind of late in the game. He was adjusting himself in the pocket. He was handling pressure. There was one throw he made. Which one was? I don't remember which one it was, but like Jordan Davis is right in his face, and he just on a rope to. It was probably Kendrick Bourne. That's who caught like all. No, that one was to Demario Douglas. But I thought Mac Jones handled the pressure super well when it came. Maybe part of that was he handled it. He wasn't getting pressured as much as maybe he thought because he was definitely a little sped up early, and then I thought he settled down a little bit. So passing wise, they were good. They were good, and that surprised me. Run game, not so much.
Yeah,
especially in between the tackles, it wasn't there. Now, like you said, 2 backup guards, 2 rookie guards against this defensive front. What did you expect? It wasn't good, but I don't think it was anything that none of us. I don't think it should have surprised anybody that they couldn't run the ball on a day like that in terms of the matchup. So we'll see what it looks like when they get the guards back. I thought Trent Brown looked good, so that's obviously massive.
Yep.
And they didn't have to do too much in terms of leaving 6 in a protect or anything like that either. So that was helpful. That was encouraging, I think. And now we just kind of see what the deal is with Mike Onwenu and Cole Strange.
Yep. I'd agree with you there. It was, I mean, when we got the inactive list, we were thinking like Mac's going to be on his back all day, right? Like 8 sacks. Like that's what we were thinking. And the fact that they held up for what they did, it was, I guess, pretty encouraging there. But you mentioned not a lot of room in the run game. good amount of Zeke. I think he was like 35% of the snaps. Mondre was 72% of the snaps. 18 touches for Mondre, 12 touches for Zeke. Both had a good amount of catches. We mentioned a lot of those screens. So Mondre had 6 catches, Zeke had 5. We also got a lot of that pony look, right, with both of those guys
Yeah.
in there. So is that what you kind of expected that split to look like? It wasn't really. There didn't seem like there was any like rhythm for the split, right? It was just kind of like we talked a lot about, are they going to go drive by drive or third down back? It seemed like a lot of just mixing and matching, whenever. So, what did you kind of think of that backfield split and those pony looks created? I think some big plays on the ground there too.
So I don't think you can look at it in a bubble. I think you got to look at the whole picture. And they were in, however we want to count Ty Montgomery, like they were in 0-3 personnel on the first drive. Like I think it was the second play of the game. They're in 0-3 with Pharaoh Brown split out wide, and then they're coming out and I think they came out in 10 at one point. They were in 0-1 a few times, like depending on how you want to classify Ty Montgomery.
It was madness.
Like you said, the two running guys, it's every play, boom, 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 and they're doing it with tempo, and it was everything I wanted it to be like for the last 2 years. That was great. And you could tell the Eagles were uncomfortable because they had to make substitutions and they had guys coming in and out and they had to kind of react on the fly. They've got to keep building on it because now it's on tape and you're going to start to build preferences, tendencies. So I don't know where you go from here. It was done at such a high level, which is super exciting, but again, there were some things in this game that were really encouraging. There were some things in this game that were like encouraging, but they've been encouraging for the last 3 years. That's one that I look at. I'm like, all right, I can buy into this. If this is what it's going to look like with these rapid, wild substitutions, I mean, they're using last year, you had either Jacoby Myers, Devontae Parker, Nelson Aguilar. There was one game, at least one game, or in every game, at least one of them was like a 90% usage rate guy.
Yep.
And Bourne played 90% of the time last night, but everybody else, I think, was like 60 and below. I mean, they were really mixing and matching everybody. If you don't have that top-end coverage dictating pass catcher, that's how you do it.
Yep.
That is how you compete in that situation. You put them in a blender. All of a sudden, there's 3 tight ends on the field and Ezekiel Elliott, and they're geared up to stop the run. And then the next play, you're going 5 wide with 4 receivers, and they've got to quickly adjust to that. That's what I think. That's what's going to unlock. How high is the potential of this offense? I don't know, but that's how you reach it.
It was that. I mean, that first drive of the game when they were running in and out and running tempo, like that was just madness. Like I was trying to chart the personnel and I just couldn't do it. And then you add the Gesicki and the Pharaoh Brown and the Ty Montgomery. It was just, I mean, that first drive was mad.
It really was. I mean, up until the interception, this looks different. This is great. Like the interception, horrible timing again, but like you're like, and Max said he made no good throws on the first drive. I don't think he made any bad throws until the pick. Like they were, he's just kind of working his way down the field, checking down, hitting open receivers, nothing wrong with that. And I'm like, this is every single thing they didn't do last year. And you saw it in spurts. You saw it at the end of the first half. You saw it on that drive in the fourth quarter. I thought, 2 of his best throws were the touchdown passes to Henry and to Bourne. It's just, they did it for probably 35, 40 minutes.
Yeah.
They got to do it for 60 minutes. That's what it comes down to. It's who is the real offense? Is it the end of the first half or the end of the second half? And if they're doing that personnel stuff, it should give them the advantage. It's just, let's see if they can do it consistently.
Yep. So you mentioned the wide receiver snap percentages there. Juju Smith-Schuster finished 54% of the snaps. He had 4 receptions, 33 yards on 7 targets. You mentioned in our game preview that if he wasn't playing 90% of the snaps, then there might be some concern about that knee, right? Because we all know that report that his knee might explode at any second here. And when he was out there, he didn't really look all that explosive. Looked like he maybe lost a little bit, some of that burst. So are you worried about Juju here after that Sunday showing?
A little bit. Yeah, I know. Excuse me. Mike Reese was on Zolak and Bertrand today, and he talked about Juju's status. It's a guy they need. And yeah, I'm concerned because they generally, when they pay the guy in the offseason, they play him. That's what it was with Devontae Parker last year.
Yep.
So I do think there might be something up. He had that one play where he caught the ball over the middle, picked up some yards after the catch. He also had a really bad drop on a third down. I didn't think he was particularly explosive yesterday outside of that one play. So maybe he's not healthy. He didn't look entirely healthy. That's just eye test. That's not me hearing anything, but that's definitely now something to monitor moving forward.
Yep. That'll be interesting to watch because, as you just said, that's the guy who got the money this offseason. And will they play that, or will they maybe go for someone like Demario Douglas, who I thought looked like he did in training camp. He was getting open. He was that little jitterbug out there. And their best trio might, when they're all healthy, their best trio might be Parker, Bourne, and Douglas in the slot there.
Yeah, I thought Douglas was really good. I thought he was really good. I thought he didn't look like a rookie at all.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what you want to see. He looked healthy after he was banged up there at the end of camp. So yeah, him, Bourne, and then Parker or Booty will sort that out. But I think Demario Douglas and Kendrick Bourne, but I thought Bourne was excellent yesterday outside of that one drop. That should be Mac's go-to guys, because I think that's their two most explosive receivers. They can create after the catch. And Parker, I think, gets the nod for the third because you still want, even if you don't need every receiver to be explosive. You want a couple of them to be, but there's also value in having that 6'3" big body jump ball guy on the field too. You don't need three of the same guy. But I thought Douglas, for all the hype around camp, maybe we expect a little more volume just because we'd seen him so much in the slot role and what that role is in Bill O'Brien's offense. But for the volume he did get, I thought that he kind of picked up where he left off in camp.
Yep. That's something that I could see increasing the volume, because some of the positions where they were putting him in O'Brien's formations was like that playmaker, that guy who's going to win one-on-one, that spot in the formation. So encouraging first performance, how they were using him, and then how he just looked running the routes, getting open there. And yeah, I would still think Parker there. I mean, they might have won there on that last, if you just had him for that last booty catch, right? Making that play along the sideline. So that'll be interesting to see how that shakes out when everyone's healthy. But more Pop Douglas would always be a good thing. But
that's also something where, like, look, I was across the board, outside of one guy who we'll get to, I was surprised with how much they played all the rookies. Everybody knows my take. I get frustrated with how little they generally trust rookies, how they tend to bury those guys. Douglas, Booty. We'll get to the defense. Keon White was awesome in this game.
Yeah.
Christian Gonzalez on A.J. Brown. Marte Mapu had some important roles. Two guards. They went out and put the rookies out there. And there's still room to grow, but it kind of tells me that they're going to build on this. So I wouldn't be surprised if Douglas's role expands as we get deeper into this thing. Like, this is where he's starting from. Generally, if he keeps playing well, guys like that in their system, they're rewarded with more playing time. So if he keeps this up, I think you end up seeing more chances for him.
Yep. I mean, yeah, 40. I think it was 41% of the snaps in week 1.
Which
after not
is about right.
Yeah, after not, they hit him in the preseason. Like, that's a good starting point for a rookie there. But you mentioned Bourne, 90% of the snaps. Don't you wish they had a guy on their team like that last year to help their passing attack?
Oh man, if they had a guy that could, like, catch the ball and take off like that, and had good chemistry with Mac, a good relationship with Mac. Yeah, where was he last year again?
He caught one touchdown, I think, all year last year, so he must have been doing something bad or whatever. But 2 catches beats his total already. And Hunter Henry, awesome, another one of those guys who we always say has that good chemistry with Mac, halved his touchdown production from last year in this one. So good to kind of see those guys, what we saw on the practice field over the summer, right? We kind of thought those guys might have big roles, good chemistry with Mac. Translates over to the game field, kind of looking like their 2021 self, both of those guys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought they were good, and yeah.
Yep. So any other, I think that pretty much covers all the offense, unless you had anything else there.
I think that was it.
All right. So let's hear from our wonderful friends at Fanduel, and then we will dive into that defense a little more.
FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV.
Who you got tonight? Jets or Bills?
I think the Jets. My concerns with the Jets are more, are they sustainable? Can they get through a full season with this hype? But I think week one at home, I think they have the more talented roster. The Bills without Von Miller. We'll see what Stephon Diggs looks like. I think it's the Jets night. I think it is.
Home dogs over on FanDuel. 2.5 point dogs for the Jets. You can also, I know it's like stormy and rainy over there too. I think they were in like shelter in place in the stadium. But if you think Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen are going to air it out, you can go over to FanDuel and combined 500 plus total passing yards is boosted to plus 200 tonight.
Yeah, he'll still probably get that.
Yeah. So did you see, I think Schefter posted the video of like the sky over there. It looks, I don't even know.
I didn't see it.
Didn't look good.
I mean, looking outside here, I know it's a couple states away, but I can imagine.
Yeah. So hopefully that game won't get delayed or anything, but back to the Patriots. We'll go over to the defense because the defense was awesome. And we finally got one of these performances against an elite quarterback, whether you want to say Philly was rusty after not playing in the preseason. I know Nick Sirianni already said, he wrote down in his notes he's going to play his starters in the preseason next year. But I thought the Patriots defense was really good. And there were three kind of things we identified on Thursday on how to stop them, and it was, be good on the early downs in the run game, get them into third and long. They did that. They got pressure on Jalen Hurts, which was the second one, and then the third one was take away the deep ball. And I thought they did all three of those things really well. They were good against Hurts in Philly's run game, and I thought it was just a really, really good game plan by Belichick and Mayo, and they executed it really well.
Yeah, their rush plan was fantastic. It's exactly what we talked about. Pressure him, knock him off a spot, and then when he runs, have a spy waiting so he can't take off. That's exactly what they did. They were able to kind of keep him contained to one side, not let him roll out the backside of the pocket so the spy could cheat that way. Keon White was a huge part of that.
Awesome.
Huge part of that, collapsing that pocket from the edge. Matthew Judon, Josh Uche, very good as well, but wasn't their first career game, so we're going to highlight Keon White in this case. And Matt Judon's one sack. I don't think I've ever seen anybody less blocked. Not to take anything away from Matthew Judon. And I think he even said after the game, he was like, there's nobody there. But I don't think I've ever seen anybody less blocked than Matthew Judon was on that sack early in the game. The game plan was excellent. That kind of easier said than done thing, they did it. And I even thought in the secondary, A.J. Brown kind of bit him up over time, 7 catches for 79 yards. But I would not be surprised at all if the coaching point there for Christian Gonzalez was just don't get beat deep. If he wants to catch slants, as long as you can step up and tackle him, let him catch slants. And that's what happened. And I thought Gonzalez was competitive as a tackler, which was one of his big question marks coming out. He had a sack, which was kind of crazy. I thought on the other side, Jonathan Jones held up well against Devonta Smith. So they didn't, I don't think they missed Jack Jones in this game, which was big. I thought for the most part, the defense was good. There were sort of 2 glaring errors that we can get into, but I thought the defense had a plan. It was a good plan, and they executed it. I pretty much, I give an A- almost. Like, it wasn't perfect, but it was as close to perfect as you can get without being perfect. Against that team, against that offense, I mean, they essentially allowed, what is it? I have to do math in my head here now. 18 points when you take out the pick 6, and then
the touchdown drive started
it was a touchdown drive off the fumble, right? So take off another 6 points. So 13, 25, 50. They essentially allowed 13 points. You should win. When your defense plays like that, you should win.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. When your defense, the offense didn't do enough. When your defense plays like that, you should win. That being said, there were two pretty big penalties on the Patriots defense, both on Dietrich Wise. First drive of the game, I think it was the second play of the game. Eagles would have had a 3rd and long off a botch snap. Dietrich Wise lined up off sides. Completely avoidable penalty. You can't be doing that. And then on a first down early in the game, he got called for a defensive hold and like a weird, I don't understand how he was holding it. I don't understand why. So those are two big, especially that first one. That first one was a major, I mean, they ended up holding him to a field goal, but 3 to really should have been a 7-point penalty. Outside of those two and again, this goes back to that thing where if 2 penalties is all you're going to nitpick the defense on for week 1,
good performance.
It's a good place to start. Wait, now, all right, get rid of those penalties. And that was that one thing they couldn't do next year. So we'll see.
Yep. You mentioned Gonzalez, so I wanted to talk about him because he went wire to wire. He played the whole game, which back in April when we were talking draft, and we all said, like, whoever their first round pick is, let's get him playing 80-90% of the snaps. So that was good to see him out there the whole time. And I thought he was really good. I know a lot of people might, like, PFF has him graded as their worst cornerback, and that's PFF, right? The numbers don't look great, but it was a lot of that. We're going to play off coverage, and we're going to, like you said, give up those slants to A.J. Brown. And then he came up and made some tackles. There was that one late in the game. It was like a 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12, and it was that exact type of play, like an off coverage slant to A.J. Brown. And he gave up the reception, but then he came up and made the tackle to force the punt. And then that 4th down play to break that pass up to Devontae Smith was just an awesome play. So I thought, Christian Gonzalez checked all the boxes there and kind of looked like that corner that we all expected him to when he got drafted.
I would say on the PFF grade, people should know this, they only grade on targets. So if you lock a guy up down the field and he doesn't get thrown on, you don't get graded on that throw. And there were times he was running with so this was interesting. They played sides. They didn't play match for the most part. They did a little match. I think they did match on 3rd down, but they played side. And like Devontae Smith too, I thought he was competitive on. Yeah, I think Gonzalez executed the game plan they wanted him to execute. Ideally he gets to a point where he can take away both the underneath stuff and the long game, but first career NFL game against A.J. Brown, this is just sort of what you had to do. You sort of just, it's that cliche. Those guys get paid too. That's one of the NFL's elite receivers up against a rookie in his first game. You kind of got to be like, yeah, he's going to get his, and you want to limit those. And I thought that's what they did.
Yep. Tough first test, but I thought he did well. And John Jones too. I think he only allowed, in the stat book, like 1 or 2 catches there. So good performance from those corners there. But you mentioned Keon White. I mean, he was taking it to Lane Johnson. Like Lane Johnson is one of the best right tackles, if not the best right tackle in football. So he had 13 true pass rushes and had 4 pressures. He was awesome. Christian Barmore was a beast on the inside. I think ESPN had him as like their 4th highest in pass rush win rate from the entire week 1 slate. So he looked really good. And then Judon looked like his usual self there. So they got to Hurts like 42, 41% of the time. So like we said, get to Jalen Hurts, knock him off his spot, and he's human. And they were able to do that with a good pass rush on Sunday.
And just on Keon White specifically, I mean, as long as he's beating Lane Johnson, he's bull rushing Lane Johnson, who is great against that. Like, you generally don't run through Lane Johnson. You got to go around him. Keon White's going through him. So all the reason in the world to be super excited about Keon White. He was fantastic in this game. And you add him to Uche, to Judon. Barmore is pretty good too. I think he didn't pick up a sack. There were a couple. He's right there. He's creating the pressures.
He had some good moments in the run game too, which was
that too, which is big. So I thought the defensive front across the board played very well. But I mean, again, you highlight Keon White in his first career game.
Yep. There were some low snap numbers. I thought I wanted to get your take on this. Mapu played 9, which I mean it's a rookie, but I think we both would have liked to see him a little more. And then Adrian Phillips had 17, and Jalen Mills only played 9 snaps. So, do you think that's just game plan week 1, and that'll change as we move forward here, or would you kind of have any opinions on those low snaps for some of those veteran guys and Mapu?
Jalen Mills to me feels like a game plan player.
Yep.
So I think it became pretty clear quickly the Eagles were not going to use the tight end in this game. So you don't need Jalen Mills, right? And the other guys, I mean, you got to take some guys off the field to get Mapu snaps. I think they wanted him on the field. He was often in that spiral. They have so much talent. They're going to put the guys out who are the best fits for the game plan. I don't know that this was an Adrian Phillips game. Next week against Miami, definitely is. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I don't think – I think there's going to be very little consistent. Like Gonzalez is going to be a 90% usage rate guy all season. Judon's going to play every third down. Bentley's not really going to come off the field. But like outside of that, I think they have the talent where they can really go match up based on defense.
I'd agree with you there. And it helped that Jabril Peppers was playing awesome from the safety spot. He was
breakout player.
Yeah. I mean, he had that one play. I forget when it was in that game, but the Pats went like cover 0 and he was just playing center field and he went all the way over to that left sideline to break up a pass to Devontae Smith. And then he obviously, had the big turnover there at the end. So he was awesome. He's going to have a really good year. And you mentioned Juwan Bentley. We always just have to shout out Juwan Bentley because he was awesome in the run game, just doing his thing, blowing up blockers and blowing up like Jason Kelsey-esque blockers. So he was really good in the run game because Philly, they threw some of that like Baltimore and Chicago, those gap runs that, the Pats got gashed on last year, but they did a really better job against Hurts to kind of slow those down. And Bentley was a big part of that.
Yeah, there's really not much you can nitpick with the defense outside of those two penalties. I thought everybody played as well as you expected them to play.
Yep, I'd agree with you there. But any other guys you wanted to shout out there? Anything defensively?
I thought John Jones played well. Kept Devontae Smith quiet. I think I have Smith's numbers here. They weren't expansive at all. ESPN app's terrible. Devontae Smith caught 7 passes. That's very quiet. He did catch the touchdown, but 7 for 47 against an explosive player like that. I think he did as well as you're going to do.
So PFF had John Jones allowing 1 catch on 3 targets for 7 yards.
Yeah,
so.
he was really good.
Yep. I'd agree with you there. Miles Bryant, too. He had a few nice plays.
He had that one stick on A.J. Brown. So at first they put him on Quez Watkins, and Quez Watkins started beating him. And it's like, here we go again. They're putting Miles Bryant on the fast slot receiver, and they clearly don't learn. And then they started just kind of having him in like a flat zone and having him just fire up and make the tackle. And he's really good at that. He took down A.J. Brown. That was a big hit. If Miles Bryant's going to be on the field, that's what he needs to be doing. He doesn't need to be manning up slot receivers. He needs to be playing essentially box safety and coming up and diagnosing the play and making the tackle.
That was an awesome design, too, that play where Brian came up. I think Romo broke it down on the broadcast, too, but it was like a cover 0 blitz.
It's cover 0 zone, right?
Yeah, but then they zoned it up in the back end, which, you usually don't do. I think it was like they went man on the verticals and zoned up the crossers, which was...
I think they were just man across the board at the yard to gain, and so you're following those verticals up out of that zone, but it wasn't engage 8 because they kept 4 guys back. They basically just ran engage 7 with shallow zones.
Yeah, that was a good design, which I think we also said Thursday, right? Like, let's see Steve Belichick and Mayo dial something up to get creative here with this defense that's so familiar with each other. So, yeah, it's tough to nitpick the defense when you hold, what we do, the adjusted points, like 13 points there to Philly. So, good performance, but hopefully the offense can win one of these games for them because that's now 0 something when the other team scores, 25 points in the match.
Mac Jones still only has that one game-winning drive, so he's got to break that so Evan will shut up. But
yeah. But any other last kind of thoughts there from the game? I mean, you touched about Bryce Behringer. We were robbed of the Chad Ryland game winner.
So
they kicked both of the field goals.
I don't know about you, Brian. I'm a little nervous. Do they trust Chad Ryland? Or did Bill keep the rookie kicker because he had to because he was drafted in the 4th round and he's not going to use him unless he absolutely has to?
You think that played into the decision to go for it?
It's just 1 week. I don't want to stamp that as my take yet, but if we, from a traditionally very conservative coach, if we start seeing the same thing for like 2-3 weeks, he's going to get asked about it. Because if you're not kicking field goals, it's a logical question. Do you trust the kicker? This is a guy that does not trust rookies. Hasn't had a rookie kicker in 20 years. It was very unlike him not to kick those field goals.
Yeah.
Now, you could say maybe he knew he was up against a great offense. He needed to go score, and there might be some validity to that. And if they come out next week and they're super conservative again and they're kicking all the field goals, I just wasted 2 minutes of your time with this take. I apologize. But if something changed, and the kicker is one of the things that changed. So I don't know that he's right to trust him or not. I thought he was fine in the summer. He missed some kicks, but he's a rookie. He was about what a rookie kicker should be. Let's see how they handle field goals the next few weeks. Because if they're not kicking, I'm going to look at it and say, well, then you shouldn't have taken him in the 4th round. You should have taken a tackle and then just kept Nick Folk.
Yeah. I mean, that was something I think we brought up in the preview, right? Like, will they trust him if there's a big situation? And the way that looks, from big picture, it looks like they might not have trusted him. In the moment, I just kind of thought they were playing like, what if we don't get the ball back, right? Like, we need the touchdown. But it's something that's worth monitoring going forward.
I'll say this. Your logic there for going forward is correct. That has never been their logic until this year. So
yeah.
Is it? And that's what I'm saying. I don't know. It might be O'Brien. It might have just been the opponent, Bill just adjusting the opponent. But the kicker changed too. Could have been the rookie kicker. You can't rule it out.
Think weather too, anything had to do with
the weather was fine by then.
Yeah.
Because I'll say that it was raining early. It was never windy, at all.
That's true. The flags weren't moving for all of Jake Elliott's big kicks there, but
yeah.
I mean, next week we might be in a hurricane for the game.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting to see what they do. I wouldn't make plans Friday or Saturday night. That's not no inside information. That's generally what the NFL does when there's a hurricane. They move the game up a day or two, or back a day, maybe to Monday, depending on what happens. But there's always the risk moving it back. The hurricane's bad, but it'll be interesting to see. I haven't looked at the weather today, but that is definitely something we're going to need to watch going into next week.
I think someone said today was like Saturday morning was the worst now. So
they might be okay then.
Maybe they might be good, but
Gonna go 2 weeks in a row with no power trying to watch college football.
That's always we'll wait and see with the weather. But
that
Ryland thing will be worth monitoring, especially as Nick Folk led off the NFL scoring for the Titans yesterday. Yeah, he had a good game in a dome down there in New Orleans, but we'll kind of see how that progresses. So any other last thoughts from Sunday? We can talk about Matt Corral quickly if you want to do that, because
I'm good on the game. I would just say on Corral, I hope he's okay. I know he's got a history. I honestly, I've felt sick for him since Saturday. I really have. If he's going through it, and I know he has a history of alcohol issues, and I think there's some mental health stuff there as well. So it's scary because that list that he's on, this is not we're going to stash him. Like, you need league permission to put a guy on this list. It's essentially the commissioner's exempt list, but it's the team putting him on instead of the league. So, I hope he's all right. And, football or no, I hope he gets the help he needs right now.
Yep. It was good to hear Bill say this morning that they've at least been in contact with him.
Yeah, I don't think, if he was missing, if there was a missing persons report out for, at this point, if nobody could find him, it'd be a police thing.
Yeah.
And he'd be a missing person. So I'm going to guess he's somewhere, right? Or obviously he's somewhere. They know what's going on. I'm going to guess they know why, or at least have an idea of why he left the team. They've talked to him about it, but it's just he, for whatever reason, can't be around the team right now.
Yep. So hope he's okay. Obviously, as you mentioned, there is some past history there stuff. So hopefully he takes whatever time he needs and it is all good from that mental health standpoint. So we'll kind of see there. But did you want to transition? Do you have any college football takes from the weekend?
I do.
Quick college football
minute.
Let
me get that up. I think we should get a quick college football minute in here. There it is. I'm worried about my boy Nick Saban.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Didn't look good.
Why wasn't he mad? Why was he not mad?
That's what I was saying. Me and Mike were talking about it today, and I'm like, he wasn't yelling at anyone. Like, where is the angry Nick Saban that we all know?
And they don't have the talent they used to. Jalen Milroe can run. I actually think he's a decent passer. His biggest problem isn't that he can't throw, it's that he won't. He gets outside the pocket and his first instincts to run. He's got to start throwing the ball more and trusting some of these receivers. But right now, it's just, they've got it. It's kind of like Bill with the rookies. They got 2 highly ranked freshman quarterback recruits. And I don't know that much about Longren or whatever the kid's name is, but Ty Simpson can play. And they've got to give him a look. And maybe it's too little too late now, but in terms of, the college football playoff, they didn't look great. I think Colorado looked good. I'm still buying Colorado all the way. I thought, everybody like Tulane this week. Tulane +7 was a super hot pick. I had Ole Miss.
Yeah.
I think they have. Is it this week or next week? Next week they have Alabama. That's going to be a good game. That's going to be a fun game. How about the Pac-12 through 2 weeks undefeated?
Good conference.
It's almost like they should keep it together.
Yeah. All right. I gave you the Florida State buy sell last week, so we'll go Texas this week. I think you were buying. You had them in your.
I had them in the playoffs. So as much as I'm bummed for my Tide, I feel good about my Texas pick, and I feel good. I had Taylor Kyles and Evan Lazar within 2 minutes of each other text me Saturday night. I love me some Xavier Worthy. Yeah. So feeling good about that.
I was loving the start of that game. All those punts. Those were some good punts in that game. Good specials.
That's true too. But I just think the other thing too, like Ewers looked good. The whole year of the quarterback thing. Yeah, we're in it. We're in the year of the quarterback.
That was going to be you're buying them for the playoffs. So are you buying one of these offensive players now to the Patriots, whether it's Worthy, Quinn Ewers, one of these guys, Mitchell?
So you know who I really like?
On Texas?
Tavion Sanders.
The hybrid tight end guy? Yeah.
Well, he also plays, not only is he a hybrid tight end wide receiver, he was a 4-star defensive line recruit. Yeah. Go watch the clips from him in high school. They're insane. You talk about just raw athletic ability, just the ability to out-jump, out-run, out-muscle. Like, he's bigger, faster, stronger than everybody on the field. He's got that Brock Bowers thing totally going on. So I love what I saw from him. I'm buying. I'm buying everybody on Texas. Really, I think that they got a really good football team. It's just going to be about consistency for them, and that's always been a problem with Steve Sarkisian teams. They tend to have stinkers at the worst possible time. If they can avoid that, they're going to be right up there. They're going to be right up there. They're going to be hanging around that top 5-6 teams all year. And is the Big 12 good? I mean, Oklahoma, they've lit up some bad teams. I'm trying to remember what they did this week. I know that last week they beat
SMU 28-11.
All right, SMU's not that good, so they should have won by more than that. TCU's fallen off. Baylor doesn't look very good. Who else am I missing in the Big 12 there? Oklahoma State's fine. Let me pull it up. The point is, they should. I don't think I'm missing anything. Yeah, all right. BYU, Cincinnati, whatever. They're for Kansas State's fine. Houston's fine down here for them. Texas Tech's okay. They should roll through the Big 12. Now, they never do because it's Texas and they'll embarrass themselves, but they have no excuse.
Yep. Yeah. Is Sanders eligible this year, or is he one more year?
Oh, he might not be actually. Yeah, because he was in high school in 2021. Oh, no, he's a true junior.
Okay, so yeah, that would be he. I mean, he was awesome against Bama. Saturday night. So he would be interesting to watch. But yeah, Texas looks really good. Quinn Ewers is awesome. Some of those deep balls he were throwing was just beautiful. So
yeah,
that'll be good. But all right, that was our college football minute there to wrap it up. But Patriots lose week 1, 25-20, and we now turn our attention to the Miami Dolphins next week, who had a big win in LA over the Chargers in week 1. It's a Pat the Patriot game for
throwback week. Yep.
So get all those red jerseys. I'm sure the Tom Brady red jerseys will be flying off the shelves down there today, but me and Alex will be back sometime later this week to break it down. So make sure you are subscribed to the Patriots Press Pass YouTube channel to know when we go live. But until then, you can follow Alex on Twitter at RealAlexBarth. Go read all his coverage from yesterday's game over at 985thesportshub.com. You can follow me on Twitter at I am Brian Hines and go read all my coverage from yesterday over at patspulpit.com. Thank you all, as always, for tuning in, and we will see you guys sometime this week.